Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. Let's get started with our hosts, Linda McKissick and Dana Gentry.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Everything Life and Real Estate. I'm Linda McKissick.
And I'm Dana Gentry.
Hey, Dana, how are you?
I'm doing good. Happy New Year.
Oh, Happy New Year. I'm so happy. Do you just love New Year's like I do?
Yes.
I do. I get so excited about a fresh start, new opportunities. So I'm super pumped. So today we're going to go back and kind of grade ourselves on how we did on our 2021 goals that you and I said on the podcast last year about this time. And then in next episode, we'll go ahead and share with everyone what our 2022 goals are.
Yep.
So why don't you kick us off, Dana? What was your number one goal last year, and how did you do?
Okay. Gosh, I've really loved looking back through these. So my number one goal last year was actually not in business. It was personal, and it was to grow stronger in my prayer life. And I really did that last year. I think I probably am the closest in my spiritual walk that I ever have been. And it feels so good. And actually I was talking to Terry, our coach, about that. And it was hard. And my word of the year was habits last year. And I really intended to make that a habit. And I didn't do it every morning. But I would say 80% of the time I started my morning with that. And it has been really, really, really good. So I would give myself a pretty good rating on that one. And this year, definitely getting better. But it was interesting, Linda, because I found myself if I would go a couple of days without starting my morning like that, I felt totally off, just big time off. And I just felt like I was really trying to pay attention to it. And I felt like I was in just more of like a negative headspace and anxious a little more. So yeah, it's been very good for me for sure.
So I have a question on your mornings. Does that mean when you wake up, you say a prayer, and is it a prayer usually around gratitude, or do you do devotionals? What does that look like? What does that morning ritual look like for you? I'm sure lots of people I'd love to hear other people's rituals. So
yeah, good question. So I start and I open my eyeballs and I do the quick, it takes me like 1 minute on the YouVersion Bible app, and I just look at what the verse of the day is. And then from there, I do a quick Bible study. So like the one that I gave you for Christmas Refreshed, it was my favorite one I did all year last year. And I've just tried to find different ones of those that people have recommended or liked. And I do it every morning, and it probably takes me, 15 minutes to read the verse and then read her little part and then answer 4 questions. And then after that, I write my prayers, which I was talking about this with somebody today, because I'm clearly not holy enough, because when I try to pray in my head, then I'm like, oh, I forgot this email, and man, I need to add this to my grocery list. And oh, I think I heard the dog. And I get so distracted. And so somebody told me several years ago to try writing. So I have these journals, I have tons of them. And I actually write out my prayer time and my prayers to God. And then, which it's been kind of cool to look back on some of those. And I write specifically, when I text you and say, I just prayed for Jimmy, I literally write it down in my book. And then I go back and look, and I can see so many things where I'm like, man, I prayed for that. And where if I'm just praying in my head, then I forget stuff. I don't know. That might be an 80.
I love it. What I love about that is exactly what you said. I think you could go back and specifically see the power of prayer by looking at those past prayers and then seeing the rewards of it. That's awesome.
And it does help me remember too. I'll look back and I'll be like, man, I need to go back and pray for that again. I remember, this is a really good example. That's kind of an embarrassing one, but when Caitlin had Graham, my nephew, and when he was born, I prayed for him all the time. And then as he's cause he was a baby, and I just would always pray for just him to be healthy and just all that stuff. And then I was looking back through some, which I like to do at the end of the year. And I was thinking, I have prayed for Graham a little bit, but not like I did when he was a baby. And so then I was like, man, I need to start praying for him, as he moves into being a kid and all those
Yeah.
other things. So it just kind of reminded me of like, just because it wasn't something that I asked for to be fixed, you know, I still needed to keep praying for him all the time.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. Thanks for sharing that. That's good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so for me, my first one was do a Mimi Pop Pop Camp 2.0. We did that. I'm super pumped. We're now working on 3.0 for
Love
this
it.
coming year. I actually love it because I already have found what I'm going to use. And so, again, I'm going to try really hard this year to have more preparation in my life because I'm a very quick start. And so and I'm a procrastinator, so I'll put things off. But I've started making like a special place. And when I hear a great idea or get something great, I will put it in that stack. And like this year for Mimi and Pop Pop Camp, we did something really cool. Have you ever heard about the Christmas jar?
No.
Oh, I love it. It's a great story. So what we did is we started the day and we always take them to IHOP for breakfast. That's the first thing we do. And this year we told them to be prepared and ask us questions. Like last year we told them, you know, our life story and how we grew up and, you know, things that you just don't normally know. You wonder later in life about your parents, but you don't, and grandparents, but you don't really know. And so we told them how we grew up and about our parents and all that kind of stuff. And then this year we got them to ask us questions, which was really cool. And then we, in the car, going to the different places that we went that day, I would put on the book, The Christmas Jar. And it's a great story about how all these people collected their coins all year long. And at the end of the year, they would give them to somebody who needed them. And it's a really cool story because the people wind up being connected in a real cool way on how the jar even started. But we listened to it and all day long. And at the end, we didn't get totally finished. So their homework was to finish the little bit of the book that we didn't get finished. And they each got a jar to start saving. So my goal is next year for them to have their jars, and we'll go to the Salvation Army because, you know, I love the Salvation Army. Yeah. And we'll go to the Salvation Army and already have it planned out in advance, maybe who would the money go to, or let them decide who the money goes to.
Love that. I love that. I saw your picture from the Salvation Army too. You went this year, right?
Yeah. It's so funny. I was in my car, I was leaving, and the lady runs out to the car really fast. She's like, come here. So I go back in and they said, we want to take a picture. So I took a picture with them, and it's really cool. I got to tell them a little bit of my story, but I still am going to lunch with the captain. And I'm gonna share my story with him. I may just type it out and give it to him. But anyway, yeah. Cool. And then I got to hear the lady's story there at the front desk of how she'd been a missionary, and then this is like her second career with the Salvation Army, and it's just really cool. It's such good people and such good deeds.
That's cool. Love that.
So what was number 2 for you?
Okay. Number 2 for me was read 2 books per month and plan books for the year. And I did that. I mean, I probably read more than 2, but you know, I was talking to Terry today, and one of the things I told her, she said, I'm having a hard time just reading all the books that I want to read. And I said, I know, I always feel like that too. But I remembered something that Gary Keller told us, and I really implemented that last year, and it helped. And I don't know if you remember this, but he said he starts a lot of books, but he doesn't read a lot of books, because once he starts them in the beginning, like in the first, you know, I don't know, couple chapters or 30 minutes or whatever, if he hasn't learned something new or read something that really impacts where he's at right now in his life, then he stops reading the book. So I actually started, you know, a lot of books, but there were probably only a handful, 10-ish maybe, that I really read the whole way through, and like that I took notes on and actually like will use them moving forward. But I know we're going to talk about this, but next year, or this year, I keep saying next year, hasn't hit me yet, but it's January. For every business book I read, I'm going to read like a personal, spiritual, something like that book, because I've got into where all I read is business books over and over and over and over again. So I'm trying to like mix it up a little bit this year.
Yeah, I love that. I have heard Gary say that before, and I kind of naturally do that. Like I will stop a book if I feel like it's repetitive. And, you know, at this stage in my life too, and yours too, we've read so many books that, you know, I tend to want to read the same things over. And it's like, okay, why do I want to waste my time with that? Because I'm not really learning anything new. So I love that. I do that too. I also had thought about maybe signing up for one of those Cliff Note places. you know,
Oh,
that will,
yeah.
but
Well,
then some of the books I want, they don't have. So I need to find a good one and maybe do something like that where you can, I guess they just pull out the nuggets and it's kind
yeah.
of a Cliff Note version of books.
Well, that's exactly what Terry said today. She said, I rarely read the books because I always get the Cliff Note version one. And I was like, man, I never do that. I need to think about that.
Yeah. And I think I've signed up for different ones before. I got to figure out if I'm still signed up for them, but, Terry's coaching me tomorrow. I'll ask her which one she uses, so I'll know. Awesome. Okay. So my number 2 was increase my giving. And we just talked about that.
Yep.
I said the Salvation Army, food banks, and Hearts for Home specifically. I definitely did the Salvation Army. I didn't do food banks. Yeah, actually I did. I think I did one in Fort Worth, but I did Wounded Warrior this year. That one just really spoke to me. I saw it on an ad and it just, I don't know, something about that just reached out. I think this Holy Spirit just kind of moved me to I kind of wait for his movement to figure out what I'm being called to give to.
I love the Wounded Warrior. They used to come to a big event in Lexington every year. I mean, I went to it probably 4 or 5 times and it was an amazing event.
Yeah, I love it. So I picked that one instead of and I did the food banks, and I don't think I did Hearts for Home. Jimmy thinks we did, but I don't think I did. So that was my number 2.
Okay. My number 3 was the same as your number 2, increase income to match giving, tithing desires. And I did pretty good last year. Definitely. In fact, I still have a little bit of tithing that I haven't this morning. Actually, I was like, I got to figure out where I want to give that to, because I have a little bit left that I haven't given to yet, but this year I have a really big goal. So we'll talk about that on the next podcast, but okay. Yeah, I definitely, I would say I did pretty good on that one. The next one, not so much on.
Yeah. So number 3 for me, I did see minimum 10% growth in my region and have 20% as a stretch goal. I don't think we quite hit 10%. I think we might be at about 7 or 8%. I need to follow up on that and double check that number. But I really think that I really struggle with what is a realistic growth. Same. And I've probably brought this up a million times with my mentors and coaches, and nobody seems to give me a great answer. The only thing I've ever heard businesses say is if a business can have a 10% growth every year, that's good.
Yeah.
And so that's why I picked 10%, but I don't know if that's for most businesses, if that's normal or not normal, but
yeah, anyway. I struggle with that too. Cause I don't want to want it to be so unrealistic, but you want it to be something that is a good stretch too.
Well, especially when you're doing it through other people, you don't want to beat the tire out of them on something that's not realistic. Is what I always say, which not that I would beat the tire out of anybody anyway, but I would, put pressure if that was our goal, because I don't believe you set a goal just to set a goal. I believe you set a goal to hit it.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah. My number 4 was complete a minimum of 2 property flips in the year. And I did none. I made offers on some and none of it worked out. So instead I actually invested in that Southern Indiana Market Center. And I struggle, going back and forth between the keeping going on these market centers versus trying to get more into the rentals. So when Adam and I did our goal planning for this year, we are like, we have to make that a priority. Maybe we'll have no more market centers this year and really, really focus on that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I always say that opportunities, like big opportunities, are real, real rare.
Yeah.
Little opportunities are less rare, but more rare than some things, but less than like a big one.
Yeah.
Like to me, a region is a huge, big opportunity, right? They're super rare. Market centers are next.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many of those. And then rentals are plentiful because there's so many, and so is real estate sales. So I kind of always think about it like that. First of all, there's such great opportunities that it'd be kind of silly to say, hey, I'm not going to do any more unless you just don't, you get to a place where you would enjoy doing something else. But most people would kill for those kind of opportunities. Right?
I know. And I love them. So like, while I keep feeling this need to go do all these, get rentals and do all these flips, it's like these opportunities keep coming. And I love that. So it's just been kind of one of those things.
Well, and I think timing is about everything too. I think, in a different time, you may find yourself buying a ton of rentals because all of a sudden the market shifted and people,
that's a good
way
point.
Overpaid and stuff like that. So I wouldn't beat myself up too much about that, because a lot of people would kill for those kind of market center opportunities, right? And then, you can always find a deal. And then the other thing too is leveraging somebody else to find those deals. We use Brad a lot, and he finds us the deals. And so we spend no time in looking.
That's big, because
honestly, because that's probably your biggest issue, is the lack of time for you to find them yourself.
Yeah. Every quarter, I would say to Adam, we only have 3 quarters left. We only have 2 quarters left. We're down to the last quarter and we haven't bought any rentals or any flips. And he'll always say, well, how much time have you spent looking? I'm like, well, that's a great point.
Yeah. You might need to put a who by that, like when we did a thing, exercise in one of my masterminds where we wrote the goal down, but we didn't stop there. We wrote the who that was going to be involved in it. And that to me is the key thing there, because if it's left up to me, I'm probably not going to do it. Right. Because I don't have the time and I'm busy with other things. So
totally.
Okay. So for me, number 4 was be more intentional in reading the Bible. I did that one year so good.
You did. You did.
I killed it. Not last year, but the year before. But so I, and then one good Christian book. So what I did this year instead was I read Jesus in Red.
Oh,
instead, it's a good devotional. I really loved it. So that I've substituted that in and did pretty good. And, I am trying to think, I'm going to count the Christmas jar as my Christian book, because
you need to read Chase the Lion.
I do need to read that. And I actually had that downloaded.
Gosh, it will literally change your world. Like, it is so good. You will not be able to put it down.
Okay. I'm putting that to my list right now. I'm changing my goals for 2022. It's going to get, some of these will get bumped over if I don't feel like I did good enough, or if they're worth repeating next year.
That was exactly what I did too. Okay, let's see. We had so many. I'm trying to look through a couple of these good ones. Let's see. Next was social media engagement. We wanted 500 reviews on the podcast. We grew. I think we're at 200 and something, but not 500. So I kept that on mine for 2022.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, that was my next one.
Okay, so for me, an intentional quality time. So girls trip, and I did one with Bailey to Miraval. Yeah, and I loved it. And I love spas. So I'm making sure I add more to this year too. I just love spa time.
Now, where was that again?
Miraval is just outside of Austin. We have to do it. Maybe after Mega Camp next year. It is so cool. It is just, it's an amazing place. So I did that one, and I'm going to plan another one this year with Bailey and Anna, my daughter-in-law Anna, and my daughter Bailey.
Yep.
Because I love that so much. And then quality time with the kids and the grandkids. We had so many great trips with them scheduled. Yeah. And every one of them got canceled because somebody had COVID. I'm just so over all that.
Yeah.
So that one's definitely going to go on next year again too.
Yeah. We're starting an annual girls trip with me, Heather, Jenny Maddioak, and then 2 other girls, Tammy and Robin. And last year, Heather took us all to St. John. And this year we're doing another one, but it's my year to pick where we're going. So I'm trying to think of all the places that people love as options for this year, because I haven't decided yet.
Well, what would be fun is to not tell them, but tell them how to pack or something.
Okay, so you're going to crack up over this, but Craig Eberly has done that with his guy friends for 20 years. Todd Paxton's in that group. Yes. And he was the one that told us about this. So that's what we were going to do. They pick a date. They know how much money to bring, what to pack for, and that's it. That's all they know. And they show up at like a bus station or an airport or whatever. and they rotate years every year. And some of them have been like, they take a bus somewhere, then they get on a plane from there, and then they go to a train. I mean, like, it's crazy. So when Craig was telling us that story, I said, okay, look, that's what we should do. So this year,
that's fun.
I know. So I'm going to try to plan up something good.
That's awesome.
Okay.
Let's see. What's your next one?
Oh, my next one. Let's see. Quarterly check-ins with my organization following our annual retreat. We did pretty good with that. I don't know that we did every quarter, but we probably did 2 or 3 times a year. And we got together. We had 3 retreats as a one team last year. one was in Charleston. It was great. That was our mid-year check-in. That was pretty good. I don't think I did 4. But I did keep that on my list for this year for business-wise.
Awesome. For number 6 for me was utilizing Keller Williams and strategic coach forms as part of my life and culture. I did really pretty good on that. Every new person or every person I have now, we do 411s religiously and consistently. So I'm loving that.
And you do the 4x4s.
I do the 4x4s. I've also done the impact filters. I've done the, what's the one we do after our events?
Experience Transformer.
Yeah. So I've really done really good on that. And that's hard for me because that means I got to slow down, but it's been so beneficial to do that.
Yep. I love all those too, because you introduced me to so many of them and we use them for everything. Next for me was to launch the Leadership Academy, and we ended up doing 2 of those, and I loved those so much. So that was definitely, I think, a good success for both of us.
Yeah, those were great. Next for me was to read 3 great books, The One Thing and 2 others. I want to repeat great books. So I did repeat The One Thing. I listened to it rather than do it. And I had way more than 2 others. I had so many.
I was going to say, you probably had
The High Five Habit, The Yellow Tux, Better Than Before, Who Not How by Dan. I mean, I have so many. I blew that one away.
That one was really good. The Yellow Tux is a huge part of my One Team's retreat and our whole vision for next year. It's one of my very favorites.
Yep, love it. He has a great podcast too, by the way.
Oh shoot, I didn't know that.
Yeah, it's
I'll have to look it up.
I don't think it's called Yellow Tux, but it's something.
The Jesse guy?
Yeah, it's really good. He interviews other business owners that are doing different things. I like it. It's really good.
Oh man. Oh good.
So many podcasts, not so little time.
I know. Okay. We'll pick one more from each of them to wrap up. Okay. Let's see. My next one was to continue to grow with Heather. And I think everybody can agree that Heather is amazing. We did restructure some of her tasks. She definitely focuses more on things that she can kind of take off of my plate and like the big goals and projects rather than just day to day. That's what I had written down. And we did that. We didn't use impact filters as much as I wanted to, and I had that down. So I need to make sure that we use those more for this year.
Okay. So I'm going to hit a couple that I didn't do so well on, just so people realize we actually have goals we don't get.
Well, my next one was health and wellness, and I did not focus on that. So,
okay. Yeah, that one was mine too. I finally just decided, I said to try to get my weight to stabilize around 139. Good Lord. I'm so far off of that. I just decided I would just be a happy fat person. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to be happy and chubby and happy. I mean,
that's what I tell myself. You can't have it all.
Yeah, exactly. I said, my husband loves me no matter what weight I'm at. So I'm just going to shut up about it and see what happens. And then there was another one that
you'll probably lose 30 pounds.
I'll probably dry up. The other one that I didn't get done that I'm so important to me, and I've got to figure out why I'm not getting it done, is set up calls with top agents inside and outside of KW. I did a few. Yeah, I want a minimum, which I read a great book recently called Mini Habits.
Oh, you told me about that.
I think I texted you. Yeah. But anyway, it's so good. So Mini Habits, we'll put a link down there below for that. But I love what they say to do is stop making your numbers so big. Like literally, I've been saying, I want to talk to a minimum of three a week. No, I'm going to say one. Let me just shoot for one person a week. Yeah. And so I think after reading that book, I just read it a couple of weeks ago. I realized that because we have willpower to do one, you don't have willpower to do 3. Yeah. If you've done none. Yeah. So I think on these things, I'm going to go back and look at the ones that I don't feel like I even got close on and try to figure out what would be one little step I could take towards it. Yep. That if I did that one step, I think I would go ahead and do more because the first step is the hardest one.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah. I just wrote that book down. I'll have to get that and add it to my list.
Yeah. And
so
then
true though.
Huh?
That's so true though. If you just start smaller, you know what I mean? That just makes it so much more achievable.
Yeah. And the rest of them that I didn't do, I've moved over to 2022. So we'll talk about those in the next podcast when we talk about what our goals are for 2022. Yep.
Perfect. Same for me. Yeah. Health and wellness was a big one for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, we always got this year.
That's right.
We hope anyway, right? So, hey, remember, if you would like to be a guest on the podcast or know someone that would be a great guest, be sure and reach out to us. Also, if you have an opportunity, a challenge, or a opportunity, challenge, or situation that you'd like for Dana and I to discuss on the podcast, be sure and reach out to us at info@everything life and real estate. And if you have not, please hit subscribe button. And we would love, so that Dana can get to her 500 review goal for us, please hit a 5-star review for us. That will help us be found by other people also. So hopefully you'll do those things, and that would be the greatest compliment you could give Dana and I, is to pass this along to someone that you know in the real estate business or in the business world. We got some great people that follow us that just are in the business world. So love to continue our conversations in 2022, and we just want to say Happy New Year.
Yes, that's right. Happy New Year.
Be sure to subscribe for more business strategies and tactics to inspire you to live an abundant real estate life. Don't forget to rate and review so we can bring you the best content. Find this and other valuable information at everythinglifeandrealestate.com.